So My Hero Academia Chapter 392 is finally out, and with it, Toga begins to unlock her full potential. Froppy and Jiro face off against a traumatic foe, and a fan-beloved character potentially meets a gruesome end. It's a big one. But before we begin, don't forget to Detroit smash that subscribe button to keep up with all of the Lunchtime Crew / My Hero content. And so, without further ado, let's jump right into My Hero Academia Chapter 392, titled Villain Name. This chapter opens up right back where the last chapter left off, with a furious and face-revealed Himiko Toga facing off against our beloved anti-gravity girl Ochako Uraraka, surrounded by the vicious Sad Man's Parade, aka the army of Twices. However, immediately we can see that Toga isn't alone atop her tower of Twices, as 1A's beloved frog girl Froppy emerges from the mass of bodies in front of Toga, defeated and restrained in Twice's tape. Upon emerging from the Twices, the wrapped up Froppy apologizes to Ochako, claiming that due to the injury she received from Toga back on Okutu Island, she was unable to avoid the overwhelming swarm and was bested. Ochako, seeing Froppy, calls out to her friend, which seems to only infuriate the already furious Toga even further, who screams out in a fit of pure rage that Ochako is only able to be a hero because she has had an easy life. And in a terrifying moment, she raises her knife and prepares to pierce the weakened and defenseless Froppy. But before she can, the story cuts to a flashback of Toga's past. Within this flashback, we see a small Toga crying as her parents accuse her of killing a bird to drink its blood. And while baby Toga pleads with her parents to believe her that she didn't kill the bird and that it was already dead, she doesn't refute the fact that she drank its blood. And as the scene fades and is replaced by that of a counselor's office, Toga's narration informs us that it was from that moment onwards her parents took her to quirk counseling to help, and she quotes her parents on this, make her normal. Following this, the scene fades once again, this time to Toga in the middle of a park in a city, where the young girl, presumably on her way home from school, is watching all the people around her expressing love in their own unique way. From couples holding hands, people playing with their pets, people looking after nature, to crowds cheering on heroes, everyone is happy, living in harmony, showing love in every way except hers. As Toga, in watching this love, begins to bite her finger and suck on it as it starts to bleed. And with this, the story cuts once again, this time back to her home, where her parents are in the middle of a mental panic, shouting, asking Toga if she sucked blood from one of her friends at school. To which we see a devastated Toga with tears pouring from her eyes and blood covering one of her hands, desperately crying out that she just gave his bruise a little kiss. Toga's parents, still in absolute shock, exclaim that this isn't normal, to which Toga replies she doesn't understand what normal means, crying out to her parents asking why she has to repress her love, why she can't turn into other people like she wants to, and why doesn't anyone else feel the same urge to drink blood as she does. But sadly, in response to these genuine questions Toga has, Toga's parents lash out and scream at the small, teary-eyed, puzzled girl that the only explanation is that Toga, the person they gave birth to, is not human. Oh, now that's rough. But with this genuinely sad flashback, the story cuts back to the present, where we see Toga accompanied by what looks like the vestige of MLA member Curious. You know, the one Toga Uraraka during the League vs MLA arc, reiterating her words she said back then, that it's because of this rejection of her family that she turned into someone else and not her true self. However, this internal interaction is finally interrupted by Ochako, who manages to catch Toga with her own grapple device and pull her away right before she can slash Froppy, causing both Toga and Froppy to lose balance and fall off the Tower of Twices. Toga herself manages to land perfectly on the ground, but Jiro, who has managed to catch up with Ochako, arrives on the scene and rushes in to catch the falling Sue. And this is where things get interesting, as before Jiro catches the falling Froppy, Kamui Woods rushes in, carrying another Froppy, exclaiming to watch out because the falling one is a fake. And he's right, as the falling frog girl's face begins to gruesomely distort as she springs into action and dives at Jiro. Luckily for our musical queen, Kamui pulls Jiro away from the copy and immediately destroys the duplicate. But it's here where the horrifying revelation occurs to our heroes. Using the blood all over the battlefield, Toga has started to make her clones turn into copies of the heroes. Kamui, Sue, and Jiro, now with their presence known, find themselves swarmed by countless clones, both of Twice and themselves. Amid this crazy haze of bodies, the real Froppy calls out to Toga that initially she thought to be a hero meant following all the rules right down to the letter, and anyone who didn't was taking part in some sort of villainy. But thanks to seeing her friend Ochako reaching out and trying to communicate with Toga, she has learned the truth. Even though it's much harder to do, a true hero doesn't just arrest villains and save people. They also follow a path of understanding. So Froppy cries out to Toga that even though it may seem too late, she should at least try to listen to what Ochako has to say. Unfortunately, just like Ochako's attempts at understanding, Froppy's pleas come far too late, as in the very next shot, we see both Ochako and Toga floating in the air as Toga pierces straight through the center of Ochako's stomach with her blade. Holy crap. And as the scene fades out, Ochako, in utter disbelief, begins to cough up mountains of blood, as Toga herself declares that there is no point in trying to talk. The fact is, the two of them are just fundamentally different, admitting that she can't express and feel the same form of joy as everyone else, and she's tired of being judged for it. We are then greeted with one final flashback of Toga talking with Twice, where the villain asks Toga, "What is your villain name?" And that's it for chapter 392. Overall, it was a pretty decent chapter. There was quite a good development for the character of Toga, and we were left with an interesting cliffhanger. Honestly, I didn't expect Ochako to be stabbed. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like. For more content like this, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. It's lunchtime.